Welcome to episode 22 of the Lightning Round. I'm your host, Lightning.
I'm your co-host, Trashy.
And as always, the Lightning Round is brought to you by Philly Games and their new game, Welcome to Ponyville. You can download Act 1 of Welcome to Ponyville and find out more about the game at their website, www.phillygames.com. Starting off this week, we have a couple of announcements. First of all, we got some new stuff that I've been putting out on my channel recently. You might have noticed that there is Rule 63 meetings that I've been posting on my channel. When I cast the roles for On Across an Arrow, I thought, well, what better way to introduce my male voice actors than to actually do a preview of their voices with a scene from the show. So I took episode 1 of season 1, where Twilight goes to Ponyville and meets all the different ponies, and I just flipped that around where it's Duskshine that's going to Ponyville and meeting the Rule 63 cult versions of those scenes. So those are getting done. I'm posting those daily, and hopefully they'll be done by Saturday, but no guarantees there, being that I am having a little bit of trouble with my Barry Bubble voice actor. But other than that, things are going well. There's also chapter 1 of Too Shy for a Rainbow, which we put out. And so definitely take a look at that. As for the next 2 weeks go, we're going to take a break next week. There will not be a new episode of the Lightning Round next week. And the week following that will be the first time that we have episode reviews in place of interviews. So we won't be having interviews anymore. Instead, AR is going to join us for episode reviews at the beginning of the podcast instead. So no new episode next week, and we have the review of season 3, episode 1, the week following that. Plus there will be a new format to the podcast as well, so definitely look forward to that. It's going to be really exciting. So with that, we'll head into our interview this week. We've got our interview with Brony Mike, and that's coming up right now. So first thing on the list this week, we have our interview with Brony Mike.
Howdy, howdy.
That's me.
So let's start with telling us a little bit about yourself and how you became a Brony.
Oh, crap.
Alright, I've always been a big fan of the internet. This is not a good start. Sorry. I'm Brony Mike. I do various crap all over the fandom. From covers of songs to PMVs to voice acting stuff. And how I first heard about the show, the first real way that I heard about it was, I was bored. I don't usually go on 4chan very often, but I was just kinda sitting around and had nothing to do, and I figured, okay, I'll just take a quick glance, see if there's anything on there for me to check out. And so everyone was going nuts over this pony stuff. And I was all, okay, that's interesting. I'll maybe consider checking it out. And then, I watch a lot of videos on That Guy with the Glasses, which is a site that has a lot of, content producers making reviews of various, series of, any medium, basically. Video games and shows and movies and stuff. And one of them named CR did a quick, video called Pinkie Pie in 5 seconds. And I was like, oh, who's this? Oh, it looks pretty funny. Well, it's pretty well animated. So I decided, okay, screw it. I'll check it out. I'll go on YouTube, find what I can of the show, and then there we go. I enjoyed it right away, but I wasn't instantly like, okay, I'm totally gonna get way into this. That didn't happen until I heard the song Winter Wrap Up, because that was just out of the blue, this phenomenal musical number just comes out of nowhere. And there we go. It just exploded from there. Exploded. I don't know.
Alright, and of course the obligatory favorite pony and favorite episode.
Pinkie Pie, not entirely sure. Probably A Friend Indeed. Though there's a lot of really good ones. I'm gonna stick with A Friend Indeed for now though.
So, tell us about a little bit of how you got into being a musician and stuff like that.
Okay. So for the musician aspect, we'll basically have to start from the very beginning of everything. I've always been a very silly guy. When I first got into the pony stuff, I was thinking, okay, everyone's making tons of stuff in every medium possible. What can I do to help contribute? And I've been looking for a good excuse to get into, to discover how to use video editing software for a while. And so I figured, okay, wow, how has no one done a PMV of this song yet, or this song? Because there are some ones that just, in my mind, meshed perfectly with the show, like certain TV intros and whatnot. And so I learned how to make some of those. I made some, ones that I feel are pretty dang good. Like, I did a ponified version of the Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny and a bunch of, 90s cartoon intros. And I'd always been looking for more voice experience. And so I did a couple of side kind of songs. One of them is Pinkazoid, which I did a PMV version of, as well as sung my own version of. Someone had originally sung these parody lyrics that were put into a comic, and so there was a big string of different media that thing kind of transpired into, and that led to me making a video of it. Anyway, I eventually ran through pretty much all the PMVs that I thought I really needed to make, and then I was just kind of sitting around without producing anything for a while, and I was really becoming a big fan of the musician scene, and I figured, okay, next Remix War I'm gonna do something. And then I grabbed my kazoo and grabbed my slide whistle and grabbed my M&M Minis tubes for percussion. And I decided I was going to pop out Wacky Factory, which is my Rainbow Factory remix. A lot of people like that. I was on the Pony Swag Mega Mix because I'd just been making friends and friends and friends with all these musicians since then. And so I've made a few different songs. I decided I was going to, I was gonna join in on this weekly music competition called the Toast Beard once, and the theme was that it was like an educational, song, and so I decided, okay, I'm a big fan of Animaniacs, I'm gonna come up with this song, Parts of the Pony, that is based on their kind of style, and it was late for submission for that, but it got its own post on EQD, so it's a bit of a trade-off, I guess, and that one was pretty well liked, and so, after ripping off a whole bunch of people's stuff and coming up with like 1.5 original things, I've apparently got a status as a musician. Also, I played at Pony Stock. Sorry, I'm not the most professional of interviewees.
So did you play music before you became a brony?
Not really, and I don't really play too much of it yet. Well, okay. Technically, I took 10 years of piano, but my parents kind of forced me into it, and I wasn't too big a fan of it, and I didn't really learn too much other than how to fairly quickly read sheet music, so I could only needed to practice for like an hour before the lesson itself, and didn't actually get anything done in the rest of the week. And so I don't know squat about theory or anything like that. I'm a big purveyor of silly instruments, and so before the fandom I had been gathering a few of those. I'm a madman on the kazoo. Anyway, and I've got slide whistles and a whole bunch of other silly craziness that I've been just collecting ever since. And so I don't know. I've also been taking some singing lessons, which leads into my current project, which I've been going on for quite a while, which is basically to do a vocal cover of every Pony song. And that's coming along quite nicely. I've done a whole bunch of stuff in basically every genre at this point.
So now, for the songs that you have done yourself, did you get any inspiration from anywhere or anyone?
Well, as I said, Animaniacs is one of them. I'm also a bit of a fan of Weird Al. He's got a whole bunch of zany silliness, and so for say the instrumentals for Wacky Factory, that's kind of based on like the polka style stuff you'd hear from him, or actually also this song I Can't Decide by the Scissor Sisters. That one's got a surprisingly zany instrumental track. And so basically just goofy stuff that I've heard over the years.
Okay, so tell us about some of the songs you have made.
Okie dokie. Let's see, the main ones that I've kind of done from scratch, well, not really from scratch, that are based on other ones, but are kind of my own take on them, are Wacky Factory and 20% Kazooler. Which, okay, basically I just figure out how to use my own silliness and implement that into some sort of obnoxious but apparently entertaining version of the song. For Parts of a Pony, I kind of think of myself as a fairly good lyricist. I can come up with rhymes and I'm I'm a pretty dang good guy with puns. So stuff like that kind of comes to my head fairly well. I can't do instrumentation very well, and so I had to get good pal Stormwolf to do the instrumental for Parts of the Pony. And he did a pretty awesome job with that. He apparently said it was like the happiest and silliest thing that he'd ever produced, and was just basically doot 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 doot. And so I'm not really sure what there is to say. It's just I don't know, there isn't really much science to it. It's just come up with some sort of crazy backbeat if I can, and then do instrument stuff and do some singing and just keep on tweaking it until it sounds good.
So, in addition to those, tell us about the cover songs that you've made as well.
There we go. Now that's something that I've been working on for a long time. Well, a long time. I guess it's been like a year or so. I see if there's an instrumental version of songs available. And then I just do my own vocal cover of it. If it's a song from the show, I've actually come up with my own kind of voices for each of the main six. Twilight Sparkle's a nerdy voice. Pinkie Pie's just basically my regular singing voice. Rainbow Dash sounds kind of like this. Applejack is way over the top and crazy, kind of southern kind of sounding whatever. And Rarity is all, yes. And I guess there's Fluttershy too, but I don't know. And I try to get a good balance of which songs I'm going to release when, so I don't have too many serious songs in a row, too many zany songs in a row, too many ones from the show, too many crazy, like, audio clipping remix things. So I've got a huge queue of, like, 50 different songs that I've got yet to cover. And it's just gonna keep on adding and subtracting and extending. I've got a YTPMV in here. I've got like 5 versions of the main theme from the show. It's a pretty nuts list. And so, if there isn't an instrumental, I try and see if I can get a friend to isolate out the instrumental track. And if that doesn't work, I ask some of my more talented musician friends if they can make their own instrumental one. I give a big shout out to Dexter C. Ford, who actually, from scratch made the instrumental for Who's a Silly Pony. He did a really good job, recreating that one, and it took me about half a year to actually get around to singing it, but that worked out pretty well. And as it's been going along, I've actually been getting a lot better at various editing and mastering techniques using just, the free program Audacity. I originally just, all I did was change maybe the volume level of each track, just to make sure it wasn't too deafening or something. But now I know a little bit more about reverb, a little bit more about compression and stuff like that. And so, it's by just sillily going through each song and doing my own take on it, I'm learning quite a lot about audio producing. So that's pretty cool.
So between original pieces and covering songs from the show, which one do you enjoy doing more?
That's tricky. I'm not sure which I enjoy more. I get a lot more chance. I get a lot more of an opportunity to cover songs from the fandom than from the show, because there are so many more the fandom's produced than the show has. But I really like the ones from the show because I do have those characters set in mind, and it's easier, and I always like what comes out of it. The ones from the fandom are usually more of a challenge. Some of them, the instrumental track is nice and available, and it's pretty easy for me to just quickly sing through and do my own take on. But some of them I've got to work myself and try and come up with different ways to emote with it, different ways to sing, different kinds of voices I can do. I recently released a trio of songs that were based around these fantastic songs by Ponyphonic. And I tried to, it had me strain my range a little bit, more than I'm used to, and get a bit more used to different types of more serious emotion, so I'm not really sure which ones I prefer doing. I'd probably say the ones from the show, because they are a bit easier and they're always so much fun to do. But I think that I learn a lot more by doing the other ones. So.
And you also do readings on your channel as well. How did you get into those?
Pardon? What was the?
You've done readings of fanfics.
Oh yeah, right. Yes, I occasionally do readings with this TeamSpeak group that I'm a part of. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna toss out a link to the IP address because we've got a limit to how many people we can have in there, and so I don't want it getting too widely spread around and whatnot. But it's a fun group that I hang out with, and there are a lot of awesome and horrible PMBs, fanfics that we read. Sorry, what am I doing? And one in particular, Ultra Eternal Prodigal Furious Very Big Sonic Fearless Perpetual Heroic Epic Legendary, I did finally memorize that name, is probably my favorite fanfic because it's overwritten like nuts, but the author is hilarious and insane, as is the main character. The gist of the character is that he just overdoes and overwrites everything, no matter how minuscule it is, but it's not done in a bad way. It's done in a way that he just, goes insane, and this character is so full of himself and so grandiose that just, it somehow spreads to everybody around him, and they're on some giant quest that is entirely, founded upon misconceptions. His dad died, and then he thought that he was asking him to go and avenge his death, but he was actually telling him, no, stay in the town, don't go and be an idiot. Anyway, we also read a few other fics. It's basically based around who's online at the time. Some of us read some of them. For instance, this one, The Return of the Everfree Kingdom. It's written by a friend of mine, Gorotsuki. It's a pretty interesting fic. There's this old king who is returned to Equestria, and I think he plans on wreaking havoc. But we need, a lot of us to be online at the same time, because for some reason we decided to all do his voice at the same time. And so whenever his lines come up, it is completely indiscernible. But it's a fun read. Basically, it's just we read through fanfics. I do a bunch of goofy voices. The other readers do a bunch of goofy voices. And I just put it all in there. We get derailed like nuts, but it's usually a pretty good time if you want to listen in.
So tell us about any conventions you went to this year and what you did while you were there.
Oh boy, that's nuts. Okay. January, BronyCon, BroNYCon, back when it was called that. That was the first PonyCon I'd been to, I believe. Well, not necessarily even, because I was at this kind of smaller one. Okay, I'm just sidetracking myself like crazy here. BronyCon at January, it was tons of fun. It was really small, but it was fantastic meeting all these people that I'd only known online. Then we skip ahead half a year to BronyCon in the summer. That one just blew it out of the water. I met so many more people. We spent so much time together and had a phenomenal time. That one is the one that the documentary is being made on. I'd been in talks with the Living Tombstone for a while before it. He wanted me to bring him a kazoo, and it was an awesome time giving that to him. And I thought that he was just, hanging out and playing it in front of me because he wanted to feel, oh, okay, yeah, come on, we're good friends. But then I saw a video afterwards of him during the fire. I had not been able to find him. And he was just playing September on his kazoo, and it was the zaniest thing. And so it warmed my heart to know that he actually did really like it as a goofy little gift from Brony Mike. So that was one of my highlights of BronyCon in the summer. There was also this giant musicians meetup at the end of it that just sealed it all as one of the most fantastic weekends of my life. There were 40 of us musicians just hanging out outside of some hotel. We were playing music, we were chatting, and it just went on for hours and hours, and we all got to know each other really well. It was supposed to just be like a gathering where we were going to hang out and eat a bunch of ice cream, but we only bought 2 tubs, I think, for all of us that showed up, so that was all gone within the first 15 minutes. But I don't know, it was great. I became good friends I became better friends with Pony One Kenobi, and I became really good friends with Hey Las Fas and fantastic pals with Tarby, and it just was all phenomenal. That said, Everfree Northwest, fantastic, even better. at BronyCon, I was able to perform a little bit. Actually, I could give a history on this thing. Okay, I got a melodica, which is basically a little piano that you can blow into that it sounds a bit like a harmonica. And I got this from Tarby at BronyCon in January. He knew that I was a big silly guy, and this is kind of a zany thing that I had not yet had. So it sounds kind of like that. And so it turns out the Beatle Bronies, they really wanted to play Daring Do on their set, but they didn't have anybody who had any sort of like a blues harp skills or any sort of fancy harmonica things. And so I hopped in. I decided, I said, okay, I can play this melodica decently enough, and I can learn the part by the time the BronyCon comes around. And so I was actually able to play on stage with them during that song. And it was a fantastic time. I was just right by the stage the entire concert. And it was, I don't know, it was just hilarious and fun and phenomenal the whole night. Then comes Everfree. I was able to actually perform my own set there, and I was practicing for weeks up until it, and I was practicing the entire time leading up to the concerts. And it turns out that I was going to wind up singing or playing something on like 6 different sets, basically 2 each night. And they had a fantastic thing going on with Pony Stock. There were a lot of hitches, there were a lot of issues. So I was able to play this melodica on Daring Do with the Beatle Bronies on stage in front of thousands at BronyCon, and it was fantastic. I really hope that there is some footage of that opening act on the documentary. But truth be told, the microphone didn't really pick it up all that well, and the acoustics weren't that fantastic there. And so Everfree came along, and I actually had my own set. I had this all planned out, and it was nuts. I had been like talking with everybody and getting a huge act together, and it actually went off very well, except that like none of my friends were actually able to get into the room until like the last song of my set, which kind of sucked. But luckily, the footage is all online. The acoustics were way better than BronyCon was, even though the crowd was a bit smaller, and the hotel was. I don't know, there were a couple of issues with being able to really make it as grand a presentation as we wanted. The PonyCons are always a fantastic time, basically. I've become friends with like some of the artists, with a bunch of with a few like fanfic writers, and a ton of the musicians. And so it's just always a great time. And since you've just mentioned cons in general, I was also at PAX, which is the Penny Arcade Expo in Seattle, and that one's always pretty good too. There were a few really good nerdy musicians there, and a lot of like internet comedians, and I always make sure to hang out with the Mega 64 guys for a little bit. So yeah, I don't really know what to say.
So, are you planning on attending any more this year, like EQLA or some that are going on next year?
This year, I can't really. I used up pretty much, I used up more than my allotted amount of time off, on the cons this year already. And I'm busy with school and work and whatnot. And also kind of just logistically, I can't really always just go way away for a weekend to go to various cons. But next year, next year, I'm going to be going to MagFest, which is on the U.S. East Coast, somewhere in Virginia, in early January. And then I am, without a doubt, going to be rocking up BronyCon next year and Everfree next year. And possibly some other ones, but I don't have any plans as of yet.
All right, so you also do some voice acting as well, is that right?
Yeah, a little bit. I've always really wanted to be a voice actor, but I know that I'm not yet confident enough in my talent to actually get a demo together and try and get myself out in the industry. I know there's kind of a conflict from what I've heard. Some people say, "Oh, come on, man, you don't do it now, you're never gonna do it." But I've heard from some very reputable sources that no, you don't jump in until you're ready. Come on. And so I'm getting practice. I am getting much more confident in my abilities and my acting skills. The program I'm currently taking in school is in IT field, and I'm hoping to get a degree in that one and then go into some sort of an acting school so I can actually kind of study for what I'm more hoping to do with my life, rather than just like the IT stuff will be a pretty good fallback in case that does not work out, and I will be able to do some work in that while I am going towards this other bit. And I'm sure I sound like a billion other aspiring actors, and I'm sure I've got just as much a chance as them, but it's still something that I like to do. And so I did a couple of lines in a few Friendship is Witchcraft episodes. I auditioned for the role of Scootaloo, and I almost had it, but in the end, someone won out just before they closed.
And surprisingly often covered in tree sap. Apple Bloom, what are you doing? And so, that's my Scootaloo voice? I don't know, it's kind of like it.
So, then I've been auditioning for a whole bunch of stuff. Haven't really gotten too much. I've been, I was also the mayor of Ponyville in the latest Friendship is Witchcraft episode.
And I was also a whole bunch of background voices. I just follow the crowd. And, I just wanted to boogie down.
That's pretty much my entire filmography with them. Basically, I'd been looking around for a bunch of projects where I could actually get some experience, and not really finding too much out there for myself. I auditioned for a whole bunch of stuff, and I wasn't really getting too many roles. However, I decided, okay, screw all this. I've been chatting with this TeamSpeak group for a while, and I've come up with this zany set of characters that I might as well put to use somewhere. And so I figured out that I could just do an audio-only Tumblr called Ask Flutterdon, where Fluttershy is the Don of the Ponyville Mafia. And so, you might get some nick. It's busted if you don't pay up your bits. And Twilight Sparkle is the bodyguard for the Don, and she's named Kid Sparkle. And I've got a whole cast of characters that I'm gonna be rolling out one by one as my friend Lee draws them. Lee, get on it. Sorry, he's a little bit behind on drawing the next one, so I've only got the 2 revealed so far. But it's pretty cool. I'm kind of I'm answering questions and building up this universe a little bit of kind of a few years in the future. All the chaos has kind of died down in Ponyville, and so Fluttershy was kind of bored and trying to think of a good way to get a bit of a reputation so that she wouldn't be walked all over like that. And so she winds up becoming the Dawn of the Ponyville Mafia. I don't know.
So do you enjoy collabing with other musicians, and now there are some collaborations coming up? Or what musicians would you like to collab with?
Oh, I would love to collaborate with anybody at any time. Problem is, I've started a lot of collaborations, but pretty much nothing's actually followed through. Because, I don't know, I guess we both just always get sidetracked. I'm not really one for getting stuff started, unfortunately. I am at heart more of a kind of critic. And so someone can send me something, and I can add my own input, and I can add my own flair to something, and I can give them pointers on how to improve something, pretty much regardless of how good it actually is. Like, if something is really crappy, I can just go, hey, this can be improved, this can be improved. If something's really, really good, I can still go, okay, I can see, if you really want something, I can see, like, tiny little flicks here and here and here where there can be improvements. And so, I don't know, I'm always open for collaboration, but unfortunately, unless I'm given, like, strict deadlines, I'm not usually very good at actually following through with them, unfortunately. Sorry. It is always a fantastic blast whenever it happens, though. We always come up with something pretty dang good. But for the most part, whatever collaborations I've had have just been, like, me and Stormwolf for that part, or with large group collaborations, kind of like the Pony Swag Mega Mix.
All right. So, do you have a favorite song? Do you have a favorite song out of any of them that you have done?
Out of any that I've done?
Yeah.
Probably Parts of a Pony. It's my most original piece. It's that one I'm pretty proud of. It originated. I saw this image on Equestria Daily a long time ago, where someone had actually taken a picture of a pony and just labeled each of the parts on it. And I figured, okay, I gotta make this song. And people really seem to have enjoyed it. Especially artists and fanfic writers, because it totally tells them the proper names for the parts of them. Instead of saying that weird back knee part, they can just say, oh, that's the hawk. And so, that one, was able to strain my songwriting skills, my singing skills, my audio editing, as well as my PMVing skills, because I actually made a brief video for it where I would just kind of go around the picture and goofily, like, zoom in on parts and type out what each part is.
Absolutely love that song.
Hey, thanks!
So, are there any upcoming songs that you want to talk about?
Oh wait, I totally just remembered something that that I haven't even mentioned yet. Sorry, can I just pop?
Go ahead.
Okay. I made an album. This album is Randy Newman Presents Season 1 of Ponies. Basically, this comedy duo named Paul and Storm, they have this series called 25 Days of Newman, wherein they have a fake, like, Randy Newman theme song for each, for 25 different movies. And it ranges from, like, The Godfather and what else? Why am I only remembering The Godfather? Okay. And, like, The Big Lebowski. And they've got tons of different types of movies that, they just have Randy Newman's voice singing over the same piano track over and over and over. And so, for the 26th song on that album, they just released the piano track for anybody to make their own versions. And I decided to take the challenge and just do that for each episode of Ponies. And so the album is basically a big summary of that. In a couple of months, I'm gonna rewatch season 2 again and episode by episode go down and write down lyrics for Randy Newman Presents Season 2 of Ponies. So that'll just be like 1.5 minute recaps of each episode, with a bit of a zany flair to it, with the same monotonous kind of, well, not really monotonous, but like, it gets repetitive after a while, I'm sure, backbeat to it. Alongside that, gonna continue the covers, and my next cover that I'm actually currently working on is, Gryffindor never made available the instrumental track to Sweetie's Big Race from Friendship is Witchcraft. And so, I'm gonna finally make a new remix, which is what I call my zany stuff with all the kazoos and weird drum beats and stuff. And I'm gonna call that Silly's Big Race, and so that's coming up. Sorry, Mom, I'm in the middle of a talk show here. I'll keep it quiet in a moment. Anyway, sorry, Mom just came in. And after that, I've actually got an idea for some stuff for the future, but I'm not sure how that's gonna all turn out, and I'm not sure how long it's gonna take for me to wind up producing it, so I'm not quite ready to reveal what that is yet. But it'll be pretty big. Just think, I'll give a pointer. There's one of these in each of Weird Al's albums. Okay, it's crazy polka medleys from, like, each of Brony's weird, like, audio. What am I saying? I can't make sentences today. I'm thinking of making crazy polka medleys of a bunch of Brony's different, songs. So, like, there's gonna be stuff from The Living Tombstone, stuff from Glaze, and they'll all be in like, their own tracks, where it'll be, like, medleys of each of their songs and stuff. And so if that takes off, it'll be crazy.
That ought to be fairly interesting. Okay, so any, last-minute shout-outs or comments?
I'm not really sure what to say. Sorry, I'm putting away some stuff. There might be some rattling in the background. What to say? Shout-outs. I don't know. Go watch Game Grumps. That's got nothing to do with ponies. It's just really funny. Oh yeah, I never mentioned, trixieeatingpinecones.tumblr.com. Get all your artist friends to draw pictures of Trixie eating pine cones and submit it to the Tumblr. I need more material to post. Yeah, I don't know.
Alright, well that's all we had for you today, so, thank you for joining us for the interview.
Yeah, thank you for the interview. I'm sorry if I was too disjointed, but I think I did a decent job.
Alright, and that was our interview with Brony Mike, which brings us to the news for this week. Starting off the list, we have a announcement from Adweek. They've brought out the voting for their hot list of 2012. And My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is overwhelming the categories. They have it nominated for Best Reason to Watch TV Now, Best Guilty Pleasure, Show That Always Makes Me Lol, Show That Keeps Us on the Edge of Our Seat, and Biggest Social Butterfly. The Hub is also in there as well for Best Primetime Lineup, Hottest Network for Comedy, and Best Network for Family Programming. So there's a lot of things in here for My Little Pony and the Hub, and if you want to see the Hub and My Little Pony bring home a couple of awards, definitely go and vote for those. You can find the link for that in the show notes.
And next up, we have the MBS show, which is produced by Malaysian Bronies, had an interview with Michelle Creeber. As you know, the voice actress for Apple Bloom and the singing voice for Sweetie Belle. And of course, Michelle Creeber has an album out called Timeless Songs of a Century that she also talked about on the show. So to check that out, see the link in the show notes.
Equestria Daily has recently come out with what they claim are possible titles for episodes of Season 3. Obviously, these are all rumors. The only one that's been confirmed is Episode 3, which is going to be called Too Many Pinkie Pies, and it actually has a synopsis for that episode as well that states, overwhelmed with having to choose just one friend to spend time with, Pinkie Pie uses a magic mirror to clone herself. That one's going to be interesting. The other ones that they have listed here are Episode 4 is going to be called One Bad Apple. Episode 5 is going to be called Magic Duel. Episode 6 is called Sleepless in Ponyville. Episode 7 is titled Wonderbolt Academy. Episode 8 is titled Apple Family Reunion. And Episode 9 is titled Spike at Your Service. All of these titles are, of course, rumors. None of them have been confirmed yet except for Episode 3. And the air dates that they have listed for them are also kind of screwy because they have Episode 4 airing on December 7th, Episode 5 airing on December 3rd, and Episode 6 airing on December 8th. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, we're gonna have to wait a little while before any of this really gets cleared up. But looking at the names for this, I mean, you got some really cool things coming up. I'm really interested in Magic Duel, which could possibly have something to do with Trixie. I'm really interested in Wonderbolt Academy. And the Apple Family Reunion also sounds interesting as well, because we kind of need an Applejack episode, after last season. So, a lot of really cool things there. You can find out more information on this with the link in the show.
And next up, we have another convention compilation. We start off this time with TrotCon 2013. They start off by thanking all 700 who attended TrotCon 2012. TrotCon 2013 has been set for June 14th through 16th in Columbus, Ohio at the Sheraton at Capitol Square. They're expecting 3 times the capacity they had in 2012. We'll be having a ton of the biggest names in the fandom, including John Giuseco, Pixel Kitties, Roxors, Demos Fox of Celestial Radio, and many more. Badges start at $30 through April 19th, and the longer you wait, the more you'll spend, so the sooner you register, the cheaper it will be. They also have sponsor badges for $100, and actually comes with a bunch of perks that they haven't yet disclosed. Also, the Sheraton has offered room rates of $99 per night for TrotCon attendees. They're not in the reservation system yet, but once they are, they'll let y'all know. Also, if you want to be involved, they'll be opening submissions for artists, musicians, and panelists within a week. And staff applications are also going to be opening shortly. And next up, we have a Galacon press release number 3. Reminding everyone that it's going to take place on the 3rd and 4th of August 2013. And they're actually moving a few kilometers out of Stuttgart to the Ludwigsburg Forum, which will give them more space and scope to get as many people there as possible. They also have a new website at galacon.eu. Next up, we have Sweet Apple Acres Con update. It's actually going to be taking place in Nashville, Tennessee on July 12th through 14th at the Millennium Maxwell House Hotel in Nashville, Tennessee. And they have actually announced Rainbow Dash Presents as one of the guests. Next up, we have Luca Comics 2012. Hasbro is actually teaming up with Italian Bronies. Hasbro Italy has invited Luca Comics 2012 as part of the staff for the first official Brony convention in Italy. Their full program includes a pony cosplay parade and contest, artist stands, recording of the day with videos and interviews, which will be published on YouTube, a wall full of pony arts in exhibition, and their official flag in exposition. It is actually taking place the 1st to 4th of November at the Hasbro stand in the Luca Comics Fair. Next up, we have Brony UK seeking staff members. Anything from community to gophers, from text to the floor team. They've got a position that you can fill if you want to help out. Of course, they're looking for bronies in the UK, but if you still want to help out, you can spread the word to any British bronies that you know. And to check out all of those, plenty of more information for all of those, you can check out the show notes.
Next thing on the list, we have something coming in from License Magazine. License Magazine is an organization that researches, analyzes, and ranks the top company brands in the world. In 2012, Hasbro ranked number 7. What that means is that the license is valued at $5.2 billion, which is up $1.5 billion from last year, and it beats out properties such as Major League Baseball and Sanrio, which is the company that brought out Hello Kitty. So what does this mean? It means that ponies are doing really well. Obviously, Transformers, with their new movie that just came out, that really helped Hasbro as well. But right now, ponies are considered the core brand for Hasbro, and Friendship is Magic is rated as the top show on the Hub for 2011. It's information like this that really makes you feel like ponies aren't going anywhere for a while, because the success that it's bringing to Hasbro and the Hub and stuff like that, it's just, they'd be crazy to give it up right now. So, there's definitely going to be more to look forward to, and you can find more information on this press release with the link in the show notes.
And next up, we have even more staff on Twitter. We've got actually 2 new members of the My Little Pony staff on Twitter. The first one is the singer for Rarity, Kazumi Evans, and the second one is a painter, illustrator, and colorist for Season 3, Justine Pools. And you can check out links to both their Twitter accounts in the show notes.
And last thing for the news this week is that we have another convention to talk about. This one's called Fiesta Equestria. It's going to be taking place in Houston, Texas, July 28th through 30th in 2013. It's going to be held at the West Chase Marriott Hotel in Houston, Texas. This is a huge hotel, and so it's going to be a really, really big venue. In fact, it's one of the biggest hotels in Houston. So it's going to be a lot of space to hold this convention. And they've even announced that Hey Ocean is going to be performing there. And actually, I recently went up to Winnipeg to see a Hey Ocean concert, and while I was talking to Ashley Ball, she actually mentioned that they were invited to go to this convention. So this is definitely confirmed by the band themselves. So they've got a lot of other guests that are going to be coming up, and they've also stated that the registration is going to be opening on November 17th at 6 p.m. And it also says that the first 1,000 pre-registrants are guaranteed a spot on the concert floor. So it's a really big group that's coming to Texas, and this is going to be a absolutely huge convention next year. So definitely keep an eye on that. There's a lot more information for you guys to look at with the link in the show notes. Which brings us to our PMTV segment for this week, and we'll start with videos. So first up, I found a it's like a 30-second clip that Galaxy Art Forever put out called The Pony in the Car. This one involves Sibsy and Manda Pony, who drives up in this Corolla and just crazy shit happens. So definitely check that one out. That one's pretty funny. The next 2 things are things that the Equestria Daily has brought out involving Season 3. First of all, they brought out a Season 3 preview from the Hub that's got a couple of clips from the Crystal Kingdom, as well as, if I'm not mistaken, clips from other episodes farther into season 3. So that's definitely something to take a look at if you haven't seen that. The other thing that was really, really big, and there's a lot of controversy that's surrounding it, is that the first 8 minutes of episode 1 of season 3 has been posted on Equestria Daily. Tech Guy 348 brought out the actual the good version. They had a camera version that they first posted, and then Tech Guy 348 finally brought out a good quality version of it, and I couldn't resist. I definitely had to watch it, and I have to say that it's just looking like it's going to be absolutely amazing. So if you haven't seen it and don't want to see it, then that's fine, but it's coming up really soon, guys, and it's going to be absolutely great. The next video that I want to talk about is a new video that's been brought up by Squeak Anon, which is the director or leader of Pony in a Box Productions, and they brought out a storybook called The First Pegasus, and it involves mostly OC ponies, obviously, and it talks about this pony who comes in contact with a griffin, and how this encounter brings about the origin of the first Pegasus. It's a very, very good story. It's all narrated by Robot Butterfly, and it's definitely worth listening to. And the last video I wanted to talk about is an official teaser trailer that they brought out for the Game Loft My Little Pony game. And it's really funny because it's actually Trixie that they have that's doing the sales pitch for this game. And it actually looks really good. I don't have an iPad or anything like that can actually play the game. I kind of wish I did, because it's looking like it's actually going to be fairly interesting. So if you got access to an iPad or an Android phone or anything like that, I'd say give it a try, because it definitely looks like it's going to be pretty good. Yeah, you can find the link for all of these videos in the show notes.
And that brings us to our music section. First up, we have a song by Peak Freak titled Believe. He made this song after seeing a lot of the recent drama in the fandom and wanted to give a little message to everybody. And it's a pretty good song, and it's definitely worth checking out and definitely taking in the message he's trying to give. Next, we have A Moon Ballad by Jay Carlson featuring the runner 1230. And this song is actually about the princesses, so definitely check that one out. Next up, we have another song about the princesses. Well, two songs technically, I guess. It's called Flight 1 and 2 by Naysayer and Feather. This is actually part of an album that they're actually releasing, and this is the first quarter of the album, and it's actually about Celestia and Luna, of course. Next, we have another song by Jeff Burgess titled I'd Wait a Lifetime for You. And to quote the artist, "Hi guys, here's a little song about how I love Luna." Definitely a good song and definitely worth checking out. And finally, we have another song from Electric Explosion about not just Spitfire, but also about World War II era Spitfire plane, which just happens to go hand in hand very well together. So to check out all of these, see the links in the show notes. And that brings us to our casting call. There's a really cool little project going on right now called My Little Pony Cards with Friends, and it's actually aiming to be a fun, unique tabletop gaming experience. They're actually looking for testers and artists, and they've already got a rulebook in progress that can actually change as things get tested and everything starts working itself out. And you can actually see all the details for this at mlpcardswithfriends.deviantart.com, or you can go to the show notes and click the link there.
Which brings us to the fanfic segment for this week. A couple episodes ago, I know I had announced that Equestria Daily was holding a Nightmare Night 2012 fanfic contest. Well, obviously, Nightmare Night was just a couple days ago, and they brought out the winners for that as well. So they brought out two different top threes. They had a poll on Equestria Daily where they let the fans go and rate what they thought the best ones were. But as I had mentioned earlier in the other episode, they actually had a whole panel of judges that were also looking at these as well, and so they also have those top three on there as well. So I'll start with the poll that they did and talk about those winners. In third place with 279 votes is the story called "Won't You Help Me Pull My Wagon" by Cold Stare 5. Second place with 893 votes was How Everybody Loves Pinky by Azure Spark. And the first place went to A Nightmare Night to Remember with 991 votes, and that's by Synaptic. As for the judges that rated these, their third place went to Body of Work by The Grey Potter. Second place went to Skittish by J-Mac. And first place was Nigib by Aquaman. The runners-up for these were Maleficarum by Saddle Soap Opera, Masks by Dr. Hammer, The Riverbed Village by Mortimer Quill, and Wicked Memory by Calchexis, I believe is how you say that. And so they have all the links for all of these stories, and not only that, but they also have a list of every single entry that was sent into Equestria Daily as well. So even the ones that didn't get posted as a winner, they're all here. If you were interested to see some of the other ones that have come in as well, there's a lot of fanfics in here, and if you're into scary stories, then this is definitely a list for you. So you can check this out with the link in the show notes. And it is the end of the month, which means that brings us to our flashback segment for this month. And Rashi, why don't you start us off?
Alright, first up we have our flashback video, which is actually a PMV with focus on Rainbow Dash of the song You're Gonna Go Far Kid by The Offspring. That is explicit, just to warn you. It's actually by the Slut Fox on YouTube, and it actually has 8.3 million views, so it was an incredibly popular PMV. And it originally was uploaded on April 12th, 2011, so definitely check that out. Next up, we have our music for this month, which is actually Alex S's Party with Pinky. Now, this particular song, when he made it, originally uploaded it on September 3rd, 2011. At the time, he took every solo Pinkie Pie song and kind of smashed them together until it worked. And it's electro. So to check out those two, see the links in the show notes.
As for the flashback fanfic, we've got this month Allegreza by Coffee Grunt. And this one's actually really cool because it was originally posted on FinFiction, and I'm not sure exactly if that's when he wrote it, but it was posted on FinFiction on November 5th of 2011. So we're almost at the 1 year anniversary of this fanfic, and it was the second fanfic I ever read. If you don't know, this is the pretty much go-to fanfic for vinyl scratch shipping with Octavia. It's one of the first that's ever been done. I'm pretty sure that the vinyl scratch tapes were going on right around the same time. But this fanfic is absolutely great. And so if you are a fan of that shipping pair and want to see one of the original pieces that were written about those two, check this one out. You can find the link for that in the show notes. So that is the end of our episode of the Lightning Round for this week. Like I said, we are going to be taking a break, so there's not going to be an episode next week, but definitely join us in 2 weeks, and we'll have our review of episode 1 of season 3. It's going to be great. Until then, I'm Lightning.
I'm Rashi.
And we'll see you next time.
Now colts and fillies of every pony kind, here's a song about you from your front to your hind. Hairy, coaty, muscly, and bony, these are the parts of the pony. Now the poll is the name for the top of the head where the forelock grows, and then it said that the mane down the neck is known as the crest. But we'll finish off the head before we start with the rest. Well, your ears they heard, that your eyes they saw, that a pony's got a nose and a muzzle and a jaw. Between them's a mouth that'll laugh and speak and smile real wide from cheek to cheek. Now the mouth is a tool that can pick things up and eat off a plate or drink from a cup. And the forehead's hard and protects your brain, which connects to the spine, which is underneath the mane. Now a unicorn's head has a special horn, and it's made of stuff called alicorn. Casts magical spells that you've studied and read, and those are the parts of the head. Next, let's slide right down your spine to the parts on the back of all pony kind. There's the withers on the back, and the loin, and the hip, and the croup, and the dock, and the tail you can whip. Now still on the back of Pegasi, there are two special things that'll help you fly, with bones and joints and feathers and things. So these are the parts of the wings. The feathers on the end that pick up air are the most important, so take care of the ones on top that are called the primaries. Then on the bottom your secondaries. If your wings are open and wide, you'll see some feathers tucked inside. They help catch air and they're not overt, they are primary and secondary coverts. Now the lesser coverts still catch breeze, and your wing pit feathers are your axillaries to fold the wings bend at 2 points, and those are the margin of the carpal joints. Now back to the throat, which goes to the chest, which goes to the barrel, where the stomach digests the liver and a heart and a lung or two, and the rib cage keeps them safe for you. Into the body there extends the shoulder and the arm, it bends from high up there, will go down low. There's the upper arm and the elbow, next to the forearm and the knee and the fetlock. And I do decree this anatomy song, we're almost done. We'll do the hind legs and have some fun. The legs got the hoof and the coronet that connects to the pastern, and I bet that the ankle's flexible and goes to the cannon. These are important if you're standing. Next, going up, we've got the hock. It bends up the leg so a pony can walk. We started with the bottom and we're going up high. There's the gasket and the quarter and the stifle and the thigh. The flank on the side and the haunch near the top. And there's one last part before we stop. When your special talent shines in the dark, you can show it to the world with your cutie mark. The parts of the pony are so cool, so keep in shape and stay in school, and strong and smart you'll surely be. Those are the parts of the pony. Those are the parts of the pony.